my life. Hopefully you can hear me okay here. Turn that up just a little bit, as much as I can. Let's see. I figured I'm going to share the news this way. I'm going to just do something here. Tis folly to be wise. Tis folly to be wise. There you go. Just putting that up. Be wise. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to try to share this. I've never shared anything. I'm going to try it. This will work. Ooh. So, I'm going to try this. Type the URL, click browse. Ooh, let's see. I type that in there, it won't let me. That's not good. Let's see if I can put this in there. It won't let me. Oh, this is a bum deal. Ooh, okay. Well, let's do it a different way. Gotta do it a different. I'm so used to sharing it on Google Hangouts. This is a bit different. Okay, so look what I have to do. So we put that in there, and then we save this one as, and now I have to do all this. Oh, Christ. All right, let's see if that'll work. So let's save. Oh, it's not going to work. Oh well. Jesus. There's no way for me to do this. Oh, I know that here. I think I can. There you go. All right. Let's see, do this without screwing it up. That's how you do it. You learn things every day. Oh, there you go. Perfect. Look at that. Then I could just do that. So I'm going to speak to the news here. I figured I have so many links. Instead of doing like how many I have, I don't know, about 15 different videos, I figured, well, I'll go live and speak to each link and go from there. So hopefully this will work out. So, and then once I do the links, if there's no one in chat to chat with, then I'm just going to end the video. But you can at least see it on replay. So this is from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. A statement on new results demonstrating continued success of the agency's youth smoking prevention efforts and significant public health cost savings. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but this is August 20th, 2019 by Ned Sharpless, MD, Acting Commissioner. I'll make that a little bigger here if I can, without that going off the page. Okay. So it says, as someone who has dedicated his life to reducing the public health burden and suffering caused by cancer, it is all too clear that we must do everything we can to prevent kids from starting down a path of lifelong addiction to tobacco and its associated harms. At the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, a critical component of our work to protect kids and significantly reduce tobacco-related disease and death has been to deploy highly successful campaigns to educate them about the dangers of using these products. And these efforts are yielding tremendous results that are benefiting our nation's youth and society as a whole, and are being carried out over into our work to educate youth about the dangers of e-cigarette use. So they have the Real Cost campaign. It's been going on for some time, so nothing new. You could read that as I take a vape. So they had these TV ads that came out. I think we're well aware of this. It says, as far as the Youth Tobacco Prevention Plan, this includes advancing policies to limit youth access to and appeal of e-cigarettes and other products, exploring clear and meaningful measures to make tobacco products less toxic, appealing, and addictive, taking vigorous compliance and enforcement actions to hold manufacturers and retailers accountable when they are illegally market or sell these products to minors, and continuing to spearhead highly successful public education efforts to warn youth about the dangers of all tobacco products. So that's all for that one. Oh, great. So I could just keep on going. Okay. It's pretty cool. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you. So this is out of the National Institute on Drug Abuse. And main thing is here, they're doing this teens using vaping devices in record numbers. Now this is of course back in December 2018. They haven't really come out with anything lately. I just want to show you. Let me see if we can find anything on here at all. Oh, nothing at all. So we'll concern ourselves with that. And questions and answers on the National Youth Tobacco Survey. How we collect and analyze data to understand youth tobacco use. Now this came out very recently. This is in regards to the 2019 National Youth Tobacco Survey. So they framed the questions much differently than they did in 2018. So I'm going to read a little bit of this. Yeah. So, what are some limitations you face and how do you overcome the limitations? When the 2018 data were first reported, we saw a huge increase in youth e-cigarette use from the previous year. One of the first questions we were asked was which brands of e-cigarettes youth were using. Unfortunately, although we've asked about brands in past surveys, we weren't able to answer that question directly because we hadn't asked youth which e-cigarette brands they used in the 2018 survey. So that is changing. They're going to ask actual brands, even sub-brands, but mainly brands. So that's one of the things that they are changing. Another change to the 2019 survey is that we've been able to include images of tobacco products before we ask about their use. For example, when we ask about cigars or e-cigarettes, we include non-branded pictures of these products in the questionnaire. This helps youth identify their tobacco product use more accurately, particularly given that many e-cigarettes come in a variety of different sizes and shapes, including those that look like USB flash drive. Hint, hint to Juul. So those are big changes in the NYTS in 2019. So they're going to have pictures for them to choose from. And then talks about how rewarding it is. So it says, right now we are thinking about the 2020 survey and 2021 survey and what should be asked on those. Because there is a process that has to happen before the NYTS can go out into the field. There is a long time between when the questions are finalized and when students participate. So there were a lot of complaints from vapors, especially that the, questions were all, not sound or the answers were not appropriate, or the facts were distorted by the Centers for Disease Control, etc. Well, now they have framed those questions much differently in the 2019 National Youth Tobacco Survey. So we'll see what happens when it comes out. It's going to come out very soon. The language included in the 2018 survey that described e-cigarettes did not include Juul in the list of example brands. So they're going to include Juul in there. That's going to definitely make those numbers skyrocket. We provide a brief description of each tobacco product class before we ask youth any questions about these individual products. How have survey questions evolved over time to reflect? Ba-boom and ba-bum. Aside from updating brand examples, we have made modifications to the survey every year. So every year they change it to make it better, to get more information from the youth more thoroughly and more efficiently and more effective. Because they're new at the game too, you know. So as people read these estimates, this is the whole thing like with vapors. They say that the CDC distorted the numbers. People read these estimates of youth tobacco use and might wonder how we get there. It's a multi-step process. It can be complicated, but it's easier to grasp if you think about it one segment at a time. First, you break the country down into different segments, and then within those segments you sample schools, and within those schools you sample the students. By doing it in a systematic way like this, you know the probability of selection at each level. You use those probabilities to figure out what the probability of selecting each student was. A sampling weight is assigned to each student. In other words, each student represents a number of other students. Conducting surveys this way allows us to get nationally represented data without having to survey every middle and high school student in the country. So that's how they operate. So in the NYTS, the question is, so this is what they changed here. Why do we ask youth about their tobacco use within the last 30 days? And it says, during the past 30 days, how many days did you use that particular tobacco product? There could be recall issues even when asking about behavior within the past 30 days. Asking the question this way gives youth the ability to recall their recent tobacco use behavior while minimizing recall basis. So this is the reason why they do it within the past 30 days. Now you understand this whole thing answers it for you. It's about recalling whatever you've used. But if you asked about behavior in the past year, would the data have an increased likelihood of being incorrect? It could. It depends on what's being asked about. How often that behavior occurred, how memorable it is can play a role in recollection. For example, if it's really infrequent thing, like many vacations did you go on in the past year, you're probably really likely to remember answer correctly. But if I asked how many times did you go to Starbucks in the last year, boom, 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 boom. So asking about behaviors in the past 30 days provides enough time for the event to have happened while minimizing issues of recall. And you have to understand they're also asking 8th graders as well. So that's pretty much it right there. So I do the 8th, the 10th, and the 12th graders. Just want to make sure I have that. It's actually coming up. I'll tell you, this XSplit is a lot easier than OBS. I don't know why people don't use XSplit. So, in different research priorities, you'll read that yourself. Pause the page on the replay, read it, and it ends. And then this is August 17, 2019. Make it a little bigger for you. This is a CDC states investigating severe pulmonary, I cannot do that word, disease among people who use e-cigarettes. The CDC is providing consultation to the Departments of Health in Wisconsin, Illinois, California, Indiana, and Minnesota about a cluster of whatever. It's terrible. Illnesses linked to e-cigarette product use or vaping, primarily among adolescents and young adults. Additional states have alerted CDC to possible not confirmed cases. Investigations into these cases are ongoing. So there are 94 possible cases of severe lung illness associated with vaping, were reported in 14 states from June 28, 2019 to August 15, 2019. The investigation is ongoing and more information will be shared as it is available. So that's pretty much that. And then once again, it sort of repeats itself in News Medical Sciences. It says CDC warns on lung diseases linked to vaping, August 19, 2019. Pretty much goes through the same thing. Nearly 100 cases reported from 14 states. And the vaping or dabbing, including vaping extracts, concentrates, or marijuana oils. Fatigue, cough, shortness of breath, chest pain, difficulty of breathing, and unexplained weight loss. Vomiting, diarrhea, and fever. You know, when I do a 50 milligrams of nicotine salt, once in a while I'll do that, and it is difficult. And I say to myself, no wonder why the youth are having problems. Anyone that vapes this kind of stuff, especially when you only vape it once every so often, especially those that are just starting out on a Juul or something like that, yes, absolutely. I could see why these people, these young kids, are going to the hospital. Absolutely. And then, of course, there's some of these are synthetic CBDs and THC and nicotine combined. So that's that. Juul leaves vaping industry group amid dispute over FDA lawsuit. I wish other companies would leave the Vapor Technology Association. That'd be great. Juul's doing it for their own damage control, but it's not going to help them. They got too much on their plate. Anyway, August 21st, 2019. So it says Juul is leaving the Vapor Technology Association, the advocacy group for the vapor and e-cigarette industry, because of the association's lawsuit against the Food and Drug Administration. So the group said in an email to its membership on Wednesday, yesterday Juul announced that it would not be renewing its membership with the VTA, citing the lawsuit that VTA recently filed against FDA and policy differences. I have that lawsuit up on this channel. The VTA said it was surprised by Juul's opposition to the following. noting that the company's designated VTA board member participated in the VTA board meeting held to consider the lawsuit against FTA but never objected. Well, apparently they objected thereafter. He probably left the meeting and thought to himself, well, let me tell Juul about this. And Juul said, wait, hold it here. In fact, the vote to move forward with the lawsuit was unanimous. Prior to the meeting, Juul had the relevant documents relating to VTA's consideration of potential lawsuit against FDA, but never objected or expressed opposition to the action. Well, it was a potential lawsuit. Maybe Juul didn't actually think you would file it. VTA is so crazy. It's a crazy trade association. So that's pretty much it on that. I think we're well aware of all that. This one is e-cigarettes are just as detrimental to lung health as traditional cigarettes. This is a whammy here, August 22nd, 2019, just to keep you. It's interesting to compare that to that. Ooh, that's a tough one. A new study conducted by researchers from the University of North Carolina Healthcare found that emphysema is just as likely in e-cigarette smokers as it is in traditional cigarette smokers. The team explains that those who have swapped cigarettes for vaping are still putting a great deal of stress on their lungs, which is true. Yeah. All this stuff I agree to. I know you guys don't, but I certainly understand all this. It's just very difficult to acknowledge it and accept it as a reality. Previous studies have shown that smokers have higher levels of these enzymes, which can ultimately lead to emphysema. With this in mind, the researchers wanted to gauge the levels in the three different groups to see how e-cigarettes are affecting consumers' lung function. All of the participants were tested for the levels of the three different enzymes. Though non-smokers were found to have normal levels of these enzymes and were therefore not an increased risk of emphysema, the opposite was true of both traditional smokers and e-cigarette smokers. The findings show that e-cigarette smoke and cigarette smoke affected the lungs in much the same way, which suggests that e-cigarette pose just as much risk to consumers when it comes to developing emphysema as regular cigarettes. So this is an actual human study. I want to hear, well, they poured something on some cell. No, it's an actual human study here. Something about the enzymes. There is no conclusive evidence that an infectious disease is causing the illnesses. We're talking about all those illnesses from those 94 cases that we reported. While some cases in each of the states are similar and appear to be linked to e-cigarette product use, more information is needed to determine what is causing the illnesses. Of course, why they would lump that in with this particular study is, well, who knows. But so it has something to do with enzymes. Okay. So it said the researchers started by sampling lung fluid for three different protease enzymes. It came from e-cigarette smokers, cigarette smokers, e-cigarette smokers, and non-smokers. So this is actual lung fluid. Yeah, there you go. Nothing about, pee-wee dishes or whatever, however you say that. Actual human. As I take a vape into my lungs. Yes. Crazy me, huh? CBS News, e-cigarette affect a person's blood vessels after just one use, study finds. August 22nd, 2019. Vaping, even temporarily, can affect the blood vessels in healthy people even if the vape pod does not contain nicotine, according to a new study published in the journal Radiology this week. And you have to understand this is without nicotine yet. Researchers from the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine studied 31 volunteers, all of whom were healthy, non-smoking adults with an average age of about 24 years old. The participants were monitored as they took each 16 3-second inhalations from a disposable e-cigarette. The researchers used an e-pupper with flavored e-cigarette liquid but no nicotine in it. A research coordinator made sure the participants did not cough or swallow the vapor. The researchers then conducted MRI scans on the participants and found a reduction in blood flow in the, well, you see it, artery in their legs. This change occurred after just one vaping experience. The findings suggest vaping impaired function of the, and you see it, or inner lining of blood vessels. More goodies down the line. This is the reason why it's going to be very, very difficult for a Juul product to even get approved of. Any of these e-liquids going through, it's going to be very difficult. I can guarantee one thing and one thing only. There will never, ever, ever, ever be a modified risk claim on any vaping product, be it e-liquid, hardware, or software. Never happen. Possibly something get approved of, or at least okayed on as far as being marketable so you could sell the product, but you'll never be able to say it's harm reduction or it's safer for you or healthier for you. Never be able to say that. That'll never happen. So see, it says these products are advertised as not harmful, and many e-cigarette users are convinced that they are just inhaling water vapor. But the solvents, flavorings, and additives in the liquid base after vaporization expose users to multiple insults to the respiratory tract and blood vessels. It's coming from a postdoctoral researcher and lead author of the study, and this person here, an actual doctor of philosophy. So there you go. In one of those cases, a 17-year-old spent 10 days on a ventilator, and an 18-year-old suffered a lung collapse. And I'm going to show you in a moment, someone actually died. An adult died from vaping. I mean, an actual, not sure if it's an adult, but I'll show you it in a moment. So that's some serious stuff. That's a serious study there. This comes out of New Hampshire Public Radio. Cluster of serious illnesses nationwide raise more concerns about vaping, August 20th, 2019. Federal health officials are tracking clusters of serious health issues among mostly young people. Analysts have linked these lung conditions and breathing problems with vaping. But some health officials suspect certain unlicensed vaping substances that included contaminated liquids. Contaminated liquids. That was all that was on there. Okay. And this is out of the House Committee on Energy and Commerce, Chairman Frank Pallone, Jr. Make this a little bigger. So this is Pallone launches ENC inquiry into electronic cigarette manufacturers. It's August 21st, 2019 press release. Sent oversight letters to the 4 dominant e-cigarette manufacturers today requesting information on each of the company's research into the public health impacts of their products, their marketing practices, and their role in the promotion of e-cigarette use by adolescents. The letters were sent to Juul Labs, Phantom Ventures, Japan Tobacco International USA Incorporated, and Reynolds American Incorporated, which collectively represent most of the current e-cigarette market. So, just want to, and this is what he wrote in his letter. I am concerned that ENDS products like Juul are continuing to be decimated, marketed, and used while consumers lack adequate information to evaluate the health implications of using these products. That's why you need PMTAs on these products. In fact, CDC and state health officials, and we've been down that road already. I just want to give you an idea of what Frank Pallone is doing. He has a bill pending in Congress right now in regards to vaping, and yes, it is definitely against vaping. This comes out of dailymail.com, and this is dated August 21st, 2019. U.S. lawmakers demand to see, and we've been down that road already. We don't have to do that. And this is out of Winston-Salem Journal. So August 20th, 2019. Juul Labs attracts another $325 million in investment, tops $1 billion in past 2 years. So Juul Labs Incorporated, based in San Francisco, said Monday in a regulatory filing it had completed a $325 million public offering. There were 4 unidentified investors. None of the proceeds will be used toward payments to executives, board members, or securities promoters. That's a little bit bigger for you. Juul is likely to use that net proceeds from the offering to expand its production and distribution. That comes on top of gaining $650 million out of $1.25 billion offering from 10 investors in July 2018, as well as $111.5 million of $150 million offering from 23 investors in December 2017. And we all know about Juul Altria stake. Says Altria has not agreed to buy additional shares of Juul Labs until December 2024, as well as not sell or transfer any of its 35% ownership stake for the same period. And like it says over here, the company said Juul Labs will continue to operate independently. So they got more money. Juul is just getting all that money, aren't they? Now here's a death one here. So this comes out of patch.com, dated August 23rd, 2019. Death linked to vaping. Illinois patient with respiratory illness dies. A patient hospitalized with severe respiratory illness after vaping has died, the Illinois Department of Public Health said Friday. Health officials also said that the number of reported hospitalizations involving respiratory illness after smoking e-cigarettes or vaping has doubled this past week. Earlier this month, IDPH, Illinois Department of Public Health, reported a total of 9 people had been hospitalized after vaping. A total of 22 people, ranging in age from 17 to 38, have experienced respiratory illness after using e-cigarettes or vaping. So vaping-related hospitalizations have been reported in Chicago, as well as Champaign, Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, Madison, McHenry, Peoria, St. Clair, and Will counties. Respiratory symptoms reported by those hospitalized after vaping include coughing, shortness of breath, and fatigue. Some also experienced vomiting and diarrhea. Patient symptoms worsened over a period of days or weeks before they were admitted to hospitals. So it's not like they were just admitted. It happened over a period of time. It goes on a little bit more. It doesn't really say exactly who died, but someone did die. So you could do your own research on that. Someone did die in Illinois. And that won't come out there. Anyway, this is CNET. This is a timeline of recent Juul. Uh-oh. It says I might be having problems with my sharing. I just want to use this real quick, see what's going on. Okay, I guess I'm all right. So it's August 22nd, 2019. So they're just giving you a timeline. FDA calls teen vaping an epidemic back on September 12th, 2018. And then you see all the things that are going on. Actually, this is a misprint. This should be 2018, not 2019. Actually, misprinted that. See, it says they filed the suit. No, they filed it back in 2018, not 2019. That's a misprint. All these goodies here. So on July 24, 2019, Facebook, Instagram restrict e-cigarette content. It's for selling certain products like one individual to the next. FDA says it received 127 reports of vaping-related seizures on August 7, 2019. I covered that in a video. And then they sue the FDA. Investors Juul gets more money. And then CDC opens probe into vaping-related lung disease. So CDC is looking into this whole thing with all these people. It's 153 people and counting. And I bet you majority of that has to do with Juul. Juul is never going to get approved by the FDA, I'm telling you. And then they're sued over marketing practices. And then report 150 have been hospitalized. I've been done all that. And this person actually had died. Don't say who. The death may be the first tied to vaping in the U.S. Now, the difference between, I mean, I've done videos before in the past, that's on the Jacob Clare channel, that shows that an infant had died by ingesting nicotine. One time, I think that infant was over there in China, I think, somewhere in there, Beijing. And then another infant had died by ingesting nicotine poisoning here in the USA. Then you had a Texas man die from vaping. I think his house burned down, or was that the one in Florida? A Florida person died. And now this is dealing with severe respiratory illness. So all the other types of individuals that had died from accidents. In this particular case, it's much different. This is about a person that's actually been vaping. Doesn't say how long, but still, it's about a person that's actually been vaping and then has died. And it's not because of misuse or a battery explosion or any of that. So this is the first of its kind, actually. Anyway, and then this is out of Science of Caring. It's August 2019, how e-cigarette use is exposing youth and the environment to toxic chemicals. So it says the use of electronic cigarettes or e-cigarettes. I know you're saying to yourself, wow, you have a lot of negative news. Well, I give you the reality of it. You might as well know your enemies. So you know what your future holds. Of course, it's very bleak, but at least you know, you see it for what it is. And I don't sugarcoat any of this information. The only time I'll do live shows is on this channel. I won't do live shows on the Jacob Clare. Anyway, so the use of electronic cigarettes or e-cigarettes by American youth has surged so dramatically in recent years that the U.S. Surgeon General has declared it an epidemic. Well, he had. I think that was back in December of 2017, actually. So that's all that there. Tobacco waste. It's amazing. I'm reading all this as I'm vaping. It's crazy, right? But I figure, I'm only 60 years old, so being 60, I don't have many years left. But how about that person that's 20 years old, 20 years of age and starts vaping? That person or persons are going to have problems with vaping as time moves by. So, e-cigarettes, notably Juul, emerging evidence shows that the use of e-cigarettes can cause heart attacks, lung disease, and may cause seizures. E-cigarette aerosol can also contain cancer-causing chemicals, according to the American Cancer Society. Additionally, e-cigarettes contain nicotine, which is more damaging for younger users because brain development continues into one's mid-20s. Studies have shown nicotine affects cell activity in the brain and negatively impacts the capacities for attention, learning, and memory. Maybe that's the reason why we have so many dumbed down vapors. So all that stuff they were smoking at one time, the combustible cigarettes. So they collected 893 waste items, of which 19% were e-cigarette waste. The amount of flavored e-cigarette products found was alarming. 73 of the 74 Juul compatible pod caps collected were from flavored pods. The flavors are really important. When you look at the food, candy, or soft drink industries, they know kids are attracted to flavors. So it's no surprise that kids would find it more appealing to use flavored products when it comes to e-cigarette use. Their findings also uncovered differences among students in various income and ethnic backgrounds. 88% of the e-cigarette waste collected was found at schools serving predominantly upper-income families with mostly white student populations. Interesting. Of the conventional tobacco waste, cigarettes, little cigars, and cigarillos, 67% were found at schools serving predominantly low and middle income families with large Latin and African American populations. Almost no e-cigarette waste was found at those schools. Interesting. That's rather interesting there. So it's more e-cigarette use is more predominantly used by whites rather than blacks. Interesting. E-cigarettes may produce another significant problem: environmental damage. Take Juul. Smoking a Juul e-cigarette involves a lithium-ion battery-powdered aerolyzer resembling a metallic USB flash drive and a pod filled with nicotine, various chemicals, and artificial flavors. When the pod is inserted into bam-bam-bum and ba-ba-bum, we know about that. If a discarded pod enters a storm drain, The plastic components break down into microplastics, and nicotine residues can leach into water and soil. The electronics in discarded aerolizers corrode and leach heavy metals and can eventually find its way into a nearby river, bay, or ocean. E-cigarette components may release endocrine, can't do that, disruptive chemicals. So all kinds of goodies here, I tell you. Lithium-ion batteries can enlarge and explode when exposed to rain. They are also a significant fire hazard. Have been linked to major fires at recycling centers. Someone's throwing their batteries in the garbage. Not a good idea, guys. So there you go. And then it's coming out of something else, coming out of Japan and Thailand. And then here, Douglas in London. Let's see here. There's something here I wanted to talk to, maybe not. Not really, because I didn't want anything there. And this is BEREA online.com. This is August 22nd, 2019. Mayor Fraley signs proclamation citing dangers of e-cigarettes vaping. So Wednesday is currently, because of the 153 reports of illness related to vaping. So join other public leaders, including, and you see it, in signing the proclamation that warns against the dangers of vaping. The proclamation is slated to be signed by school superintendents from the Madison County. So it's just a little titty here in regards to that particular school. It's coming out of the city of Richmond, Virginia. And then August 22nd, 2019, Chicago law firm refiles nationwide class action lawsuit against the makers of Juul e-cigarettes for targeting teens in addiction. So that's that. You can read that as I take a vape. Well, that's pretty much it. Now to figure out how to get out of this, how to not share. I guess I just, I don't know how I do that. Guess I just grab that and turn that into nothing. Okay. Have to learn how to do this. This is XSplit. I tell you, it's a lot easier than OBS. I don't know who's watching. Apparently, no one's watching. I don't think anyone is here, but it's okay. Yeah, no one's here. Okay. Well, so I'm going to end this. You can watch this on replay. That's fine. And I just wanted to give you the news in one video, and that way. I don't have to do like, how many were there? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 news order. So you'd wind up with 17 videos at once. I figured, well, let me do a live show and leave it at that. I only do live shows on this particular YouTube channel, even though no one's around. It's okay. You can always see it on replay if you like. I sort of look forward to seeing that 2019 National Youth Tobacco Survey is going to come out soon, as well as the limited flavor ban. The bubble gums and all this stuff is going to come off the market. I can see it now. That's exactly what they're doing. They're not necessarily going to ban particular flavors. They're going to ban like certain types of, well, they're going to ban flavors, but like bubble gum, whatever makes a bubble gum vape or e-liquid blend will be banned from the market. Chocolate cake, things of that nature, you know. It's about It's about to come out, guys. Soon enough. 128 days is winding down as I speak. Anyway, you guys have a good one, and see you around sometime. Bye bye. I figure out how to end this. How do I end the thing?